Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about Tailwind CSS aspect ratio plugin and going to see how we can make an image responsive according to the viewport devices. So we have this simple UI with two images and some content. So I want you to pay attention to this image, and as I stretch out the viewport, as I make it big to from mobile device to tablet and large screen desktop, observe the responsive design of this image. So on mobile currently we have this landscape mode of 3:2 aspect ratio, and as it gets bigger eventually it gets to a square format, as you can see, and in large breakpoints we have this portrait 4:3 aspect ratio that we have in mobile devices, right? So as you can see, we are applying different breakpoint CSS according to the viewport. Okay, now the image is the same. What is changing is the aspect ratio. Now what is aspect ratio? It is the width to the height ratio, width to height division, right? So we have 16:9, we have 4:3. So whatever the width is, whatever the height is, the division of it is the aspect ratio. Now it is very important and very dynamic to have such aspect ratio CSS instead of setting fixed width height to this image or video content. Let's see how it is implemented. So we have this image HTML, right? We have this class, absolute class, and we are just giving entire widthful height of parent. So whatever the height and width of parent will be, it will be inherited with to this image. Okay, so as you can see, we have this div with the relative, and we have this padding given right to this div according to the requirement. We have for small devices and up we have this padding of 1/3, and then for large we have padding of 2/3. Now what does this mean? Let us see how we have now height is, we have set height to 0 because we are playing with padding. The entire section is padding. Okay, there is no such height, no such width. That's the trick for having responsive images in our website without having to play with static fixed width height. This is somewhat new technique in web development for having responsive images and videos. Now in few moments we will be seeing how Tailwind CSS aspect ratio plugin is going to make our code much simple, easy, clean. Okay. Okay. So now there are no such class. Okay, if we are going to just write padding top 1/3, 2/3, there is no such default class in Tailwind CSS. So we have to apply it and give it some value, right? Tailwind is not going to identify by default. We have to extend it in the config file by giving padding property value like 1/3. So it is equivalent of to 33.33% of total width, whatever it will be. Similarly, we have 2/3, that is 66, and finally we are having third total. Okay, so this is how we are giving it the value, and it becomes responsive. So therefore we are having responsive. Now let us inspect and see how it works. So as you can see, the green highlight section is nothing but the padding. It's the padding inside a div. As you can see, we have by default padding bottom 2/3, that is 66.66% of the total. Now currently the content inside the image is going to be the calculating factor for this 2/3 66%. So whatever the image is going to be, now 66% of the total image height, right, is going to be applied here. So we have this 145 in width and 194 in height, right, 66%, and it is from bottom. Okay, so yes, no need of giving height. Now let us turn off the large breakpoint and small breakpoints. currently we have padding bottom given by default. So what we now see is nothing but what it is 2/3 from bottom, as you can see. So we can see 1, 2, and then we have this 1, 2, and 3 divisions. You can clearly see, right?
For the mobile image. So we have a height of 0 and then padding bottom of 2/3, which is 66.6.
So as you can see, padding bottom 66.66% has been applied from bottom.
And this is percentage of the width of the image. So you can
Now this is the percentage of width. Whatever the width is, which is going to be, that is going to be kept here for calculation.
think of it as if the image width was 3/3, 1, 2, 3. Then we have 2/3 height made by the padding bottom 1, 2. If I remove that padding class, there will be
Now
no padding,
if we remove the padding class, our image will disappear, because there will be no padding present, right? So how will we going to see the content inside it? We have to give some padding, or we can give height. So the modern technique is to give some percentage to have responsiveness instead of giving fixed height.
height of 0. So let's bring it back. So then on the small breakpoint, we
Let
add
us see the small breakpoint. Padding top 1/3. What happens in this criteria? We have this padding bottom as a default part. Now on top of it, on small devices, we will be having padding top. Also we are going to have some padding from top. How much? 1/3, 33.33%. So there will be an increase of 33% in the image padding, right? So we will be having extra height, as you can see, and then so as you can see now the image looks square.
and
We also, or we can say 1:1 ratio.
now bottom 2/3, 1, 2, and then we've added 1/3 on the top to effectively combine together 3/3. So now we have 3/3 and 3/3, or 1 by 1, and we have a perfect square. And
So we have a
on the
perfect
last
square.
breakpoint, we have
Now for large breakpoints, if you apply large breakpoint, now the image looks mobile friendly, right? Now the image looks mobile friendly, that is 4:3 aspect ratio, right? So we have this 4:3, or we can say 3:4, as you can see.
2/3 at the bottom,
2/3 at the bottom, 2/3 at the top, as you can see.
and that's how we end up with 3/4 aspect
3/4
So
aspect
that
ratio,
does feel like a hack. And
right?
the good news is there's a better
Now
way
it feels like a hack,
to use
right? Now it feels like a hack. We have to apply it in order to achieve responsiveness for our image and video content. Now fortunately we have aspect ratio plugin, or we can say before that we have native CSS property aspect ratio defined by the FDN.
in its way in. And what it allows you to do is define aspect
So it
ratio,
allows us to define
like aspect ratio
in
1
just
by
one line.
or aspect
We
ratio
do not have to write extra code.
And while we're waiting
Now what is the drawback of this? Why we cannot just directly use this CSS native property for all our websites, right? Why can't we use it? The reason behind is browser compatibility. So it's currently the native property is in development stage. It is new, so not supported in various browsers like Internet Explorer, Opera, Safari, and other browsers in the list. So the support is in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and also for its latest versions, 88 versions, right? So there is not full support available, right, for this property. Therefore in some browsers it will break, and the image will not appear to the user. So therefore
is to land in more browsers.
let us see how it is this problem is solved.
To an official Tailwind CSS aspect ratio plugin.
Okay,
Behind the scene, this plugin is going to use this padding bottom trick, but it's going to hide away the implementation of it for us, so we have nicer ergonomics when applying aspect ratio. So let's go install this plugin and check it
so
out. Yeah.
we have Tailwind CSS aspect ratio plugin to solve this problem. Okay, what is the problem? As I have explained to you, the browser compatibility problem. The aspect ratio property, CSS property, is not applicable, not supported in all browsers and in all versions. Therefore we have this plugin developed for backward compatibility, and under the hood this plugin indeed does the work of writing this code for us, right? We do not have to write this hack. Under the hood this plugin handles the working. Okay, so this is how we install the plugin.
We're going to jump in our Tailwind
and we do not have to write. We can remove this section now, and in plugin section, Tailwind config.js plugin section, we are going to implement our plugin, and now we can just remove the classes from the image tag. We can also remove the classes from the div tag. The heck, right? So now we are going to have our new class applied, provided by the Tailwind CSS. For the width, we are going to write aspect W, and we have a range from 1 to 16, right? So we have flexibility, so much flexibility available. So let us try with 3 to 2 aspect ratio. So how the image is going to look, 3 to 2 aspect ratio, as you can see, we have this 3:2 ratio visible, as you can see, 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2. Let us change the aspect ratio. So now we have 3:1, as you can see. We have the flexibility, so we can play with it according to the requirements. So we can have a square. Okay, let us implement the okay, let's continue the video. Actually my battery level was very low, so I had to charge it. So now let us play with the aspect ratio, and we apply the breakpoint for having responsive images according to the devices viewed, rendered, right? So on devices that have width greater than 600 pixels and more is going to have the aspect ratio of 1:1 for square images. For large breakpoints, that is devices that are larger than tablets, like desktop devices and 4K displays, is going to have the 3:4 aspect ratio. So now let us just copy the entire div and apply it for the second image. So we are going to replace the previous implementation with our new implementation, and going to remove the previous code. Now it really helps a lot, saves the time of writing the extra more detailed verbose code, and makes the life of developer easy. The plugin is very nice. So now let us check. So as we make the viewport bigger, so the breakpoint triggers, and as soon as the breakpoint triggers, we have this square image available, 1:1. And for large devices, we have the 3:4 ratio available, and yeah, works very nicely, very nice. So it is very nice, really nice. Now one thing to remember is we have to apply these classes on parent div. Whatever our content is going to be, image, video, we have to apply the class to on parent, on its parent, right? So if we have this image, we have to apply the class to its parent div. Okay, that is going to be the part that you have to remember in order to have it working. Now it also works with the video content very well. Let us take this example. Let us display the video section here. So let's paste our video embed YouTube iframe here. So as you can see, currently it is not occupying entire width height, right? The iframe, because iframe has the default height and width. So now if we remove the width height, it is going to get its default height width of 300 by 250 pixels. So now we have this use case of aspect ratio. Let us understand and relate it with this example. We are going to have the div that is the parent, and we have to apply the classes in this div. So we are going to apply 16:9 ratio. That is going to be the standard for the video content. Okay, 16:9 aspect ratio is generally used for large devices that has the landscape mode available, right? So various devices that are landscape, large in width, like TV, right? Large television displays, they have the default aspect ratio of 16:9, and for mobile devices the default aspect ratio is 4:3. Now to understand this aspect ratio part, how the numbers are coming, like for mobile it is 4:3, for large displays it is 16:9, how these numbers are developed, you just have to understand simple maths, right? It is nothing but the division of the width and height of the device. So let us understand with an example. So we have this large display. Okay, so for large display, if we divide with 1920, we have this 1920 width and height of, let's say, 1080. Okay, what we get is 1.7 ratio. If we want it into a ratio, what we can have is, let us find the button for it to have it in the ratio format. So let's see where we can have it. Looks like we are not going to get it directly. Okay, no problem, we are going to search for it. So like, let us Google it, aspect ratio calculator, for having numerator and denominator ratio calculator. Let us understand the aspect ratio. Okay, so now 16:9 preset. As you can see, we have to specify width and height. So 1280, 720 height. Okay, so if we divide, what we get final number as is 16 and 9. If we continuously divide it, right, we get in the numerator 16 and 9, and beneath it further we cannot divide the number. As you can see, we cannot divide this ratio to more precise. So this is the final ratio we get, that is 16:9, right? Let us try 1920 and 1080 ratio. Then also we are going to get the ratio of 16:9. Let us try mobile devices. For mobile devices, let us try. What happens is, in mobile devices this number gets inverted. So 1080 and 1920. Okay, now this is not going to be get standard. So like 720, let's use 720 and 1920. So for mobile devices it is different. I don't know how, but let us so now if we are going to look our viewport, as we applied the class of 16:9 aspect ratio, we got our video completely rendered into the div with equal width and height, with equal spacing. So we have this responsive enough. As the viewport size decreases, it maintains the ratio. Now let us have the really cool use case of this plugin. Okay, so for that we are going to have one more YouTube video that has the mode portrait. The orientation is, as you can see, the video recording format is in portrait shot. So now actual footage is in portrait mode, but the by default standard YouTube aspect ratio is 16:9. Therefore the video has been rendered with black stripes besides it. So now we can use this plugin to have our video in portrait mode. So let us see how.
So maybe we can do something nice with the aspect ratio.
We can just so let us see how we can apply it.
So first thing, let me make the
Now first thing, it is going to be, we are going to apply the ratio of 4:3. Okay, let us see.
container much smaller, so we don't have a huge video.
So we are going to have the container small. So we have this small container.
Like this, but now we're going to apply an aspect ratio
Now we are going to apply the aspect ratio
instead of 16:9.
instead of 16:9.
Inverts the 16
We are going to invert the
9.
ratio of 9:16. So now, so we have just inverted the ratio,
Width of the screen,
right?
the aspect ratio
Now the UI looks much good,
9:16.
user friendly
And look at this little
and
1-year-old
video friendly, right? The orientation of the video is portrait, therefore the video element is in portrait mode.
and that's it for this.
That's it for the video. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.